excited to share with you today a little practice, a little mythology, a little story about Om. So you've probably, if you've gone to a studio before, a yoga studio, and taken a class, you might have heard the chanting of Om. You might be familiar with this chant of Om, and you may yourself have Om'd before. If you don't know anything about Om, I'm here to share with you a little bit of mythology about where this came from and tell you a little story so that hopefully you can feel more comfortable Oming in class or in your practice. Now, sound is actually a really important piece of the overall yoga practice that's talked about quite a bit in a lot of ancient texts. The sutras, the Yoga Sutras, mention it just a little bit, and I shared a little bit of that with you. Chant Om and you will get everything that you need. So sound is really about vibration. And the Sanskrit language is a really unique language because a lot of the meaning of the word is within the vibration, the quality of the vibration that the sound makes when you say the word. This is why chanting and mantra are so important in yoga practices and different yoga lineages, because it's believed that the sound and the vibration, or the vibrational quality, is what really kind of changes energy patterns in the subtle body. I know that we're getting really out there and really woo-woo, but I really do believe that we have a layer of ourselves that's more subtle, that's more sensitive to some of these things that aren't necessarily seen with the eye or felt with the hands. And this is where sound comes in, and the vibrational qualities of sound. So when we chant Om at the beginning or at the end of class, we're kind of aligning that subtle part of our body with this vibrational quality that's meant to kind of purify. Here's the story, the mythology of where Om comes from, what it means. Remember that mythology isn't necessarily true or false, but it's meant to kind of be as a metaphor or an example of something that maybe feels too big to understand, or something that we just can't know what the real truth was. So we fill in with these stories, with these mythologies, so that we can kind of wrap our brain around where this might have come from to explain concepts that are really large and really complex. So Om really comes along with the mythology of the origin story. Now, what I'm sharing with you is Hindu mythology. I'm not trying to convert you into Hinduism. I'm not saying that this is the truth or that this is an origin story of the world or the universe. Take what works for you and leave the rest. I'm just sharing this story, and I think it's really fun. I really love studying Hindu mythology because these stories are really, really fun. So in Hindu mythology, you've got Vishnu, one of the Trinity, or the Triad, one of the gods, main gods in Hindu mythology. And Vishnu is sitting on this cosmic soup in the universe. This is pre-Earth, pre-universe as we know it. And Vishnu is considered kind of the maintainer of the universe. Brahma, one of the other gods, is considered the creator of the universe. And Shiva, the third god in that triad, is considered the destroyer. And so Vishnu is kind of sitting on his cosmic soup of the universe, and Vishnu has this pet snake called Ananda, which means bliss, and he kind of treats this snake as a couch. So you can imagine that I'm laying on my snake, which is like my couch. I'm super comfy, just laying back, enjoying life. And all of a sudden, Vishnu is kind of lying back here on the couch, and out of his belly button sprouts this lotus flower. Which, anything goes with the gods. So a lotus flower sprouts out of Vishnu's belly button. And as this lotus flower, this beautiful lotus, blooms, out of that bloom comes the head of Brahma, the creator god. Stick with me here, okay? And as this head of Brahma rises out of this lotus flower, Vishnu is great, a really trained yogi. None of this surprises him because he's open to any and all possibilities. How amazing would that be if we can just go with the flow? If lotus flowers sprout out of our belly buttons and it doesn't really disturb us. So Brahma's head comes out of this lotus flower, and there's 4 faces to Brahma's head, and they're facing in the 4 cardinal directions. And on these faces, the mouth is open and out comes a sound in each of these cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. And the first sound is ah. And so you've got ah, that sound, that vibrational quality of ah. And I want you to do this with me for a moment. So take a deep breath in, and then ah. And I want you to notice while you're doing this where you feel the vibrational quality of that ah in your body. Try it again. Ah. It doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to be in tune, it doesn't have to be on pitch. Just making this sound, hopefully you feel some of that vibrational quality a little bit lower in the body, down by the belly. And that's the first vibrational quality, the first sound, the ah. Out of the next face comes oh. And if you do this and you try it out, oh, and you feel that vibrational quality in the body, you might find it a little bit higher up in the chest region, in the heart. Out of the next face comes this sound, it's like a humming sound. And if you do this, you might feel the sound, the vibration in the front of the face, up in the nose, in the front of the palate. And out of the last face comes silence. And this silence is where the echoing of all of the vibrational qualities of the ah, the oh, and the kind of integrate together. But it happens internally. It's no longer an external sound. It's the aligning of all of these vibrational qualities that purifies the energetics of each of our subtle systems. And so all of these vibrational qualities are happening, the ah, the oh, the silence, and that cosmic soup that Vishnu is lying on his snake starts to swirl. And as the ohms continue, as the vibrational qualities continue, that swirling continues to get more and more intense until that swirling, that action creates the entire universe as we know it, that we reside in now. And so the Om is really the creation of our universe. This is the creation myth in Hindu mythology. The really cool thing about these vibrational qualities is that the ah, the oh, and the kind of utilize the entirety of the palate, the entire possibility of sound and vibration that the palate can create. And this is something that as English speakers, we don't necessarily experience a lot of, because the English alphabet and language doesn't use the full capacity of the palate to create sound. Sanskrit, on the other hand, does use the full capacity of the palate from the very back of the throat all the way forward to the very front of the palate, so that the creation of sound runs through the entire possibility of what humans can do. And the ah, the oh, and the kind of represent the beginning, the middle, and the end of that ability, that possibility to use the whole palate. So Om, which if you read in English is often spelled A-U-M, takes care of that deep vibration in the belly, that vibration in the heart, the vibration up forward into the head. It aligns all of the chakras, the energetic centers in our body. It represents the creation of new possibility, an entire universe. And it also represents the entire process, the entire journey, from beginning, middle, and end. And then there's that silence where we allow everything to fall into place, that surrender. And so if we incorporate this practice, this mantra of Om, whether it's out loud where we're really experiencing the vibrational qualities of sound, we're using our throat, our voice, that fifth chakra energy to project outward, to give ourselves a voice. It doesn't have to sound good or pretty, but it can be really healing to make sound, to experience that vibration, to allow that silence after an Om to just sink into the body and the subtlest part of the body. This can be really healing on that subtle energetic level. And there's got to be a bit of faith here, because we're not necessarily going to see the results, but you might feel the results, and it might be greatly healing for you to practice these Oms. The wonderful thing is, though, that we can also practice this even more subtly by not actually projecting outward and just imagining the vibrational qualities inward. So you can say Om to yourself over and over and over again and chant it without actually saying it out loud. And where this becomes really helpful is if you're at work and you feel like you just need to get a little bit more aligned, you need to get grounded, you need to be empowered or motivated by possibility, by the beginning, middle, and end, by the full range of your voice, then chant Om to yourself over and over and give yourself that time for that fourth component, which is really important, that silence, where all the vibrational qualities align and settle in. And this can be a really profoundly empowering practice for you. So I really encourage you to practice this Om outward and inward. See what works for you. I know it can be really hard to practice chanting and practice what we might consider singing and practice making sound, because I know as women especially, it can feel very constricting. We can feel like we need to stay silent. This is your chance to use your voice, to project outward, and to experience the benefits of vibration and of sound. I hope that you have found this practice helpful and useful. It might make you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. Try it on. It doesn't have to work for you, but if it does, and I hope it does, let's find a way to add this into our practice, that organizational sadhana that we've been working on throughout the course of this journey. Have a wonderful time practicing your Oms, and I will see you again soon. Namaste.